In the past, I've beaten players hundreds of points above me in crucial situations like finals and semi-finals of state tournaments. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly how I did that. The way you go about beating players ranked higher than you is largely mental as opposed to tactical or technical. It may be hard to realize, but it's because the way you think affects how you play a lot more than you could imagine. When you play someone that on paper should beat you, you play very differently. You play with less positivity, you go for less shots, and you're less aggressive. This welcomes your opponent to play their game because you're not playing yours. You're not going for your shots. You're not trying to use your tactic. You're just trying to shield yourself from them using their tactics. You become very passive and then you allow them to be more positive and aggressive with their shots. Your game changes for the worst in these situations where you're against really strong players. You think this way because you believe you have little to no chance in the first place, and your main focus isn't trying to beat your opponent, it's to try and not get battered by the opponent. I don't believe that this is the right way to think. This way of thinking is not going to help you with your game at all. Think to when you're playing your best table tennis. It's like you are the king of the table, you're the aggressor, and you fully control the game. It becomes your table, you are the winner. When you play well, you find yourself in a completely different mental state. The mental state of a predator hunting and eating its prey alive. That's a little bit of a gory example, but that's what's happening in the game from a table tennis standpoint. You're winning dominantly. But why are you winning so dominantly? It's because you're there at every possible attack, ready to snap. You play very positively. You go for all your shots and you're not scared of the opponent. The problem is that you only reach this sort of flow state when you're playing players around your level. The question is, how do we bring you into that state of attack, attack, attack against players that are on paper better than you? Imagine if you thought like that when you were playing a higher level player. You wouldn't be so negative and tentative. You'd be confident in your shots from the get-go. You'd be focused on opening up your game and trying to dominate them with your playing style. So if we look at how you think from a very table tennis and tactical perspective, the way you sort of think to yourself is very different when you're playing two different level players. When you're playing well against a player your level, you're thinking to yourself, for example, okay, so I'm going to serve short backspin short to his forehand. Then I know that he's most likely going to push long to my backhand or my middle. So I know that I'm going to get ready and go for a strong pivot and go down the line maybe. When you're playing against a player your level, you're going to think about how you attack them. But if you compare this to a player that you think is a little bit better than you, this is what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, okay, so I know I'm going to serve short to his forehand, but I know he's going to do a good forehand flick. So I have to get ready to block it on my backhand. I believe that that's the complete wrong way to think. You look for ways to save yourself from losing the point instead of actually trying to win the point. What could you be doing in that situation against a better player? You could try and have a little bit more confidence and say, when he flicks it to my backhand or my middle, I'm going to try and do a backhand counter top spin down the line or across the court, depending on, how the match is going on. You have to think to yourself about how you're going to open up your game and start attacking. When you think this way against better players, you're going to play very, very differently. And I'm not saying you're guaranteed to win, but you give yourself a much, much better chance against a better opponent. The idea is to bring your strengths into the game, not just wait and try and protect yourself from your opponent's strengths. When you think from the perspective of the attacker, no matter what situation you're in, no matter who you're playing, you give yourself the confidence and even just the opportunity to try and open yourself up and start playing your game, which perhaps might even get you the win. I guarantee that you would be more equipped to face your opponent if you believed that you were at least at the same or a higher level than them. And it doesn't matter who you're playing, even if they're really good. The idea is that when you think that way, you start to play differently. You need to believe you can win, otherwise you literally can't win. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. But the moral of the story is, don't be afraid, just give it your all anyway.